When four kids make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet, they get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. This is according to the official synopsis of Skeleton Crew. And finding their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies, will be a greater adventure than they ever imagined.
Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content.
Welcome to Unleashed. I'm James. Skeleton Crew, December 3rd, finally announced. December 3rd is our official release date for the new Star Wars streaming series, because we don't get movies anymore. We get streaming series. Why pickers can't be choosers? We get what we get at Star Wars. We went years with no Star Wars. Now we're getting at least these little tidbits. I like to compare the shows to the novels that we used to get in the 90s, in the early 2000s. Like, this was kind of, we weren't getting movies during those times. So I guess the mid 2000s, but we weren't getting movies at those times. We were getting books. And so we'd read the books as kind of our gateway to Star Wars. And that's how these shows are. Only these shows, unlike the books, are canon. Like them or not, this is what we get. So we have Skeleton Crew. Early word coming out from some spoilery outlets was that Lucasfilm was not happy with Skeleton Crew. But you take all that with a grain of salt. People magazine finally dropping our first official looks and details of the Skeleton Crew. Obviously, Star Wars Celebration London, whatever the last one was, they showed people there some of the footage from this series. I was not there, so I live vicariously through everybody else. We've seen a picture of Jude Law for a year or so now, so that's been around. That has been at the forefront of everything, and we get the official look from People magazine here to show us Jude Law kind of with these balls hovering around him that they look kind of like they could be the orbs from A New Hope. I don't believe this article, I'm going to read the article a little bit. I don't believe it discusses that he is a Jedi, but early reports were that he was a Jedi. So the actor 51 takes on the role of Judna Nawood in the Coming of Age series. So I think they don't mention he's a Jedi here, but I believe he will be one. And maybe these are orbs. Maybe he's going to train the four kids that he's with to be Jedi. The four kids have names. We've also got names of these four kids. It's Fern Gully, Neil Armstrong, Wim, and Geordie LaForge is KB. We've got KB, Fern, Neil, and Wim are our children, our protagonists, along with Jude Law's Judna Nawood. These names, can't pronounce them all the time. You could write it, George. You can't say it. That's what they say about Star Wars. I have some thoughts on this. So these pictures come up. We have this one here on their speeder bike. Speeder bikes look cool. Talked to my friend Sheldon the other day. He's not a huge fan of these flags right here. To Earth is what they are. I think this looks fun. But I looked at this footage, and then I looked at the next footage, and this is where you see Jude Law with the four kids. And I looked at this footage and I said, okay, does it look Star Wars? I don't know how Star Wars this looks. And this isn't I'm not complaining about how Star Wars this looks. This reminded me, as this one especially, it reminded me more of the movie The Explorers with River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke. And it's three kids, three, not four, but three. And they have dreams and coordinates, and they make a spaceship out of a garbage can. And they fly off into space, and they have a wild adventure out there, which is kind of what's happening with this show. This show, there's a lot about, and you hear that's the emblem feel. There's going to be real danger to it. There's an issue. Is the show going to be too cute? Too cute? Look at Neil's eyes. Look at Neil's eyes. Is the show going to be too cute? It's a huge topic of concern with people. Is it going to be too much for kids? Are they going in that direction? But if you look at The Explorers, which is what I'm going to go with, they're talking Goonies and all this stuff. I'm going Explorers. I really think they're going Explorers, but it's not as well known as the Goonies, so I think they'll keep that hidden. But I think it's going to be more of Explorers, which had an element of danger to it, an element of romance to it as well. And this is what the vibe looks like. It kind of looks like if Star Wars had continued to go from Return of the Jedi 1983 and it continued to develop and continued to become the franchise after, and it didn't wait 16 years to give us Phantom Menace. I feel like this is what it would have looked like at some point. I mean, obviously not as digital looking, more film, so a little grittier, but this kind of like old raggedy where Explorers kind of went to, and movies like that. So I feel like like this. I have no qualms with the names KB Firm. I mean, I don't really care about names, to be honest. Like Star Wars to me, Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, Obi-Wan, Vader, obviously. No one else, like Boba Fett, no one names really mattered. They just look cool. You know, you found out their names half the time through the toys. They didn't, it doesn't matter. Names don't matter, but these are our protagonists, so maybe they do matter. It's interesting to me and intriguing to me that this takes place during the Mandoverse. Like is it? We have the villain, the pirate dude that looks like the Muppet. He's going to be an antagonist in this to some degree. We don't know how much in it. Will it connect to the Mandoverse? Does it connect to the movies coming up? Are these questions that need to be answered? Should they be answered? Should we care about these going into the show? Can we accept the show just for what it is? John Watts, co-creator of the show, said that you don't need to be a Star Wars fan to jump into this. It sounds like it's very original. He said there is also a lot of Easter eggs for you to enjoy in this as well. If you are a fan of Star Wars, there's going to be a lot of things for you here. This picture here also, there's a I think this is a droid here, and this might be the droid that Nick Frost will be voicing. Nick Frost is voicing a droid, I believe, SM33. Sounds like Smee. Here we got, look at these. Like this, it kind of looks, it looks fun. It looks cool. This looks like something that you'd want to watch. That could be the droid. It's on a mysterious ship. Not a lot known about the droid, though. We got, Watts says that he's like a rusty old cranky droid that sort of reluctantly helps the kids along the way. Fun. He's fun and absolutely perfect as Nick Frost's contributions to the role. And Watts adds the other thing about him is that he's the first mate of a mysterious ship, which oddly enough, in the Explorers, they end up on a mysterious ship. So just saying, there's a lot of similarities between Skeleton Crew and the Explorers. And the Explorers has a Star Wars reference within it as well. So there's an Easter egg on top of an Easter egg right there. This picture right here we're going to get into is my least favorite of the bunch. It doesn't quite look great. It doesn't look great. It's a little off-putting. It looks very fake. But at the same time, this is a still, and it is fake. Obviously, this is a still of a fake. Intriguing that they would choose this to show us. I love that there's a sidecar, though, and you know, it's very Darkwing Duck. I do love this look. I love the idea of what's going on here. I think in action, this is going to play out better than this still image. It's not my favorite still image, but it might get kids excited. Obviously, these kids are going to be on a joyous ride. And according to John Watts, the kids had a lot of fun on these bikes as well because they were like actual bikes that some guy in a green suit like pushed around. So sounds like a lot of fun. The article goes on to say, among the many things audiences have to look forward to in the new series, Laud tells people that his character Jod is someone who use quick thinking, charm, and conversation to get out of all sorts of scenarios. He adds that the eagle-eyed Star Wars fans will be able to spot details that pay homage to the original films. If you look carefully, we got some Star Wars tech that dates right back to, I believe, the original film. They do Easter eggs so well. That's one of the joys, I think, of this universe. For those who know, there are little details always hidden away or Easter eggs that people can find and link up. And that is part of the joy of Star Wars, is seeing these little things. And I know people like to harp on them now and say, like, there's too many little things. There's too many, No, it's fine. This is what we're here for. This is Star Wars. It's one universe. We can expand the universe all we want, but you've got to bring us back to what makes it Star Wars. And it could be this or that, but something's got to bring us there at the end of the day. Because then, like I say, you're just making Valerian. If you don't, you're just making Valerian. I think these pictures are all fine. A trailer, I know D23 is coming up, potentially a trailer around that time. Who knows? Of all my pictures, this is probably my favorite. This one kind of reeks of Star Wars. Like, we got some, like, Return of the Jedi Force. I know it's not, but speeder bikes, obviously the feathers or whatever. And you've got kids on a walkie-talkie. So there's your Stranger Things. There's Stranger Things connection that they like to bring up. Again, though, I'm going to say Explorers, which also has a bike in it. I do feel like it's going to be cute. It's going to be for kids, but I'm hoping what they mean by all this stuff is that when you watch the movie as a kid, there was a lot more at stake, right? The stakes were a lot higher when we were kids. Like, you were like, someone could potentially get injured or die in this. And, you know, you watch a lot of children's stuff nowadays, that's not really the case. They've really kind of held off from the darkness of what we used to get as kids. I mean, I watched a lot of movies I shouldn't have watched as a kid, probably. And the movies that you watched that were made for kids, they had an edge to them throughout like that whole decade, maybe into like the very beginning of the 90s. And then that's when the shift kind of happened where kid stuff was kid stuff. But I hope we get back to that, because that's really, I mean, Star Wars, I think, you have the Andor fans who like Andor and they don't like anything else now. You have the Acolyte. Acolyte, I think, should have, I said this on the last podcast, is it should have probably delved a little bit deeper into just being YA. Like, that's kind of where I felt like it wanted to go, and it didn't want to commit to it. I'm hoping whatever this is, it commits to it, because I think Star Wars can really thrive. And, George Lucas always said it's for 12-year-old boys, and if you make it for the 12-year-old boys that were 12-year-old in 1983, you get a little bit of darkness in there. And then that's when I think it could be for the whole family, for everybody to just watch, sit back, and enjoy. Because Andor is, I love Andor. I think Andor is great, but it's not for everybody. It's not for kids. Kids aren't going to enjoy Andor. So you can give me Andor all you want. I think this is where Star Wars has a potential to thrive, and where Star Wars truly belongs. I think it's. I haven't seen the show. I'm not saying this show, but I'm saying the idea that they've kind of spitballed to us about this show, that they've pitched to us about this show. This is where Star Wars can really thrive. This is where Star Wars belongs the most. We can play off in the Andor world. We can do maybe an R-rated one, whatever. You can do family-friendly, yub-nub dude. You can do all that stuff, but I think at the end of the day, where Star Wars belongs is for the 12-year-old boy and girl, but the 12-year-old fans with a little hint of darkness that could bring the adults in and be like, this is actually, this isn't bad. This is something I want to watch. And, as you get older, you don't appreciate those kiddie stuff as much. So I understand people's reluctance to this. And there's a possibility that it doesn't hit the darkness level that we all kind of wanted to. But I do feel like, as much as Jude Law is a fan of Star Wars and says he's a fan of Star Wars, I do kind of get the sense that if his character wasn't strong enough, it wasn't something for him to chew on, I just don't think he would have taken this role because it's Star Wars. I think he would need something more than that to do this. He's entering a world now. Whether his character dies, who knows what happens with his character? He could be the one that dies, right? Sacrifices himself at the end to get the kids back home safely. We don't know. Is this a one-off? Could be a one-off series. A one-off series. So it's going to be fun. December 3rd is when it hits, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't not looked forward to a Star Wars show. I haven't been, over the moon about all of them. There's none that I've absolutely hated. There's been moments that I've hated and moments that I truly loved. And I'm hoping this one has more of the latter. More of the latter. That's what I'm hoping. All right, everybody, this is Unleashed. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What do you think of these pictures? Are you into this show? Do you want to see this show? Are you a hard pass on it? Do you think that the characters look a little too human? Or from Earth, I should say. Do you think, they're a little too cartoony? Do you think these eyes? Look at these eyes. Look at Nee's eyes. Is it Nee versus Baby Yoda? I don't think it's any contest. I think Baby Yoda takes the cake every day. Every day, Baby Yoda wins every day. But that's just me. Maybe it's not you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. And until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.